The city of Plattsburgh teamed up with New York's Office of Cannabis Management this week for a workshop to help business owners apply for cannabis retail licenses. Marijuana use now legal in small quantities for adults, recreational use in New York. The state coming up with the rules and awarding licenses for who can grow and sell the cannabis. The workshop this week was specifically for conditional licenses, given out first to people affected in some way by the state's drug laws over the years, including incarceration for cannabis-related offenses. These licenses, the first phase of giving out retail licenses, just a few being given out across the North Country. And they will be some of the first stores, we think, that will be open selling the cannabis.
Yeah, so 2013 when I came home, I start to see, and we all started to see, Washington State, Colorado legalize recreation use of marijuana. New York State's been pretty progressive in that sense, and it's just taken us some time to get there. But I've been a pretty vocal advocate for recreational marijuana use, adult recreational marijuana use, as well as the restorative justice component that needs to come along with marijuana legalization in New York State. That social justice component is critical. You can't say it's now legal and then not address the economic and family impacts that incarceration has had on, disproportionately against Black and brown New Yorkers. And so, again, I've been a very strong advocate for adult recreational use legalization, and here we are. We've been in very close contact with Office of Cannabis Management once it got formed. Certainly, anytime I saw a former governor, I'd put a bug in his ear. If you need help, let me know. We're advocates for this. And so finally, we have an Office of Cannabis Management now that has gone through a series of public hearings and changes to the rules and definitions of rules. And so right now where we're at is the ability for a conditional license for those who have been impacted. Either they've been incarcerated or a family member, a direct family member has been incarcerated, and they have felt that effect of that legal aspect of selling or using marijuana in the past. Right now, this window for applying for this card or the conditional license is very short. So my office, with the Office of Cannabis Management, have been reaching out to some of the regional economic development agencies and saying, look, we have a very short window based on the North Country Regional Economic Development Council map. We are considered in the North Country, but the North Country spans from Plattsburgh all the way to Watertown. And we only get 4 of those licenses. Now, I'm, again, constant contact with that office, very strong advocate for local and somebody local getting one of those 4 licenses. And they're pretty clear, like, we're pushing for this and we're beating the bushes to find the right candidate who can apply, who's interested in applying, who fits all the criteria. There's a lot of criteria out there too, and that's just what they have settled with. But tonight we're doing a informational session as well as a kind of an overview of that application. Whether you feel like you feel like you fit that criteria or not, we certainly are inviting everybody to come out to learn about the process, because either your family member or a relative or a friend of a friend has been impacted negatively by the legal aspects of marijuana up until now, and we want those folks to get a chance.
So those will be the first licenses. We don't know how many additional licenses the state may be granting to retailers. They're also going to issue licenses to processors who are going to grow the marijuana. Those are folks who you've been interested in, the city of Plattsburgh interested in, because you think Plattsburgh might be a good site for them to do that.
Yeah, and both, to be honest. I think that Plattsburgh is perfectly positioned. Not only do we have inexpensive electricity for growers who will likely grow indoors using LED lights and high technology growing, either hydroponically or aquaponically, we certainly feel like we're perfectly positioned to support both industries, both the growers and the retailers. Not only just because the growers, they have that access to inexpensive electricity, but the city of Plattsburgh is perfectly positioned right on I-87, and we have the one of the highest densely populated cities in the North Country that can support a retail operation year-round. Much like your liquor store does on the corner, we will see pot shops pop up here and there. But we are open-armed. We're ready for them. We will connect them with any business or funding resources that are available, and we will continue to advocate for those licensees to operate and to build a business here in the city.
This past week there was a meeting talking about the final design for Margaret Street, the reconstruction that's coming up. Widening sidewalks, putting in new sewer and water infrastructure, which is so badly needed. So that project's moving ahead.
Yeah. So the council, I think earlier this year, we went through a pretty extensive community engagement process to first educate and have people understand the reason why we were doing this. Primarily, and I've gone on the record of saying it before, I'll go on it again, primarily we are looking to replace the 1903 water sewer infrastructure that lives under Margaret Street, Brinkerhoff, and Court Street. Primarily, that's the concern that we have. In that process, if the community said, we want this street built back brick by brick, okay, that's fine. And it's not ideal. Certainly we want to build back a little bit better than how it is, make it more pedestrian friendly, ADA compliance, slow the traffic down, make sure that people can get out of their cars and shop downtown. That's what we would have liked. That was what certainly we advocated for. But if the community said, no, we want it just the way that it is, and that's what it was. And I think that's part of that community engagement process that I trust, and will continue to do that for future projects. A lot of what we heard in that process was we want better pedestrian access, and that's how you build a downtown. You make it pedestrian friendly, you make it bike friendly. And so that's where we're at in that process. That we had a public meeting at the library. We also have an advisory committee that we retained because we felt it was very important to continue to engage the downtown business folks and the art center folks who are going to be directly impacted by this change. A lot of this is making sure that they're up to date on the process, making sure they're up to date on the timeline for when the design is done, when it goes out to bid, when the construction contracts come back, and we'll make that decision. And then when construction starts. It's going to be an interruption. That is no doubt, nobody's mincing words on this one. It's going to be an interruption. It's one of you'll go downtown right now and you'll see traffic strips on the ground. We're doing a traffic count. It's one of the highest used roads in the city, right? It goes right through our downtown. We're going to tear it up, and that's problematic. It's going to be problematic for people. But one of the reasons why we keep pressing on public engagement, we keep the advisory committee engaged, is so that people remain informed and we can continue to push information out and people know what's coming, and we can make adjustments as we see fit.
If all goes well, construction getting underway early next year, early 23, and then maybe wrapped up by the end of 24?
Correct. That's the goal, and that's the timeline that we're pressing on the design consultant as well as the any contractor that comes in to do the work.
The one-way traffic will be from Court Street to Brinkerhoff Street.
Correct.
Road widened, new sidewalks, and all the new infrastructure going in.
Yeah. And then also, that's just the Margaret Street aspect. You know, when you look up Brinkerhoff and Court Street, those are 2-lane, one-way. We're closing that, we're narrowing that to 1 lane, and then we're putting bike infrastructure going up and coming down from SUNY.
And new water and sewer infrastructure as well.
Correct.
The whole downtown.
Correct.
So a major transformation for the downtown, but long overdue.
Long overdue. I mean, 1903 is when the city was incorporated, so we have original infrastructure in there.